Hi YouTube, welcome to Christy's Readings. So tonight we are live doing the Luke Mitchell case. I'm about to hit my live button in Facebook and Instagram. I just thought I'd get you guys live first. I didn't let you know that I was coming live to do this case, but I think it's such a high profile case that YouTube should be part of it as well. So please know I'll be looking over 3 platforms tonight, but check us out on Facebook, Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok as well. Right, okay, I'm about to hit my live button, everybody else. Let's do this. Hi Insta, hi Facebook. Guys, we are live on YouTube as well. I'm just going to get you all together. Hi! Oh, Louise Reid, you just appear everywhere. So we're live over all our platforms now. I hope you are all well. YouTube, I am not going to concentrate too much on you guys because it's more that I want this video recorded so that it stays on YouTube. So anyone can go back and have a look at it as well. How are we all? Thank you everybody for joining. We are following the Luke Mitchell case tonight. I've had a wee look at it last night. Hi Janice. What I'll say is as well, quickly, the Sturge guys, I know you're not happy with the news today, but it's a validation for myself. I have predicted that Scotland will stay out of lockdown, but England will go back in. So if you're feeling a bit down about today, just know, all right, it's a validation for everything we've said in the last 7 months. So just trust it. We need to trust the Sturge guys. Lay off for a bit tonight because I'm going to lay on it about this case soon. So one thing at a time. Lovely, you're all here. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for joining. Like all our, this is from Boohoo. The top, sorry, somebody was asking. This case has been one of the cases where I've kind of avoided for the last 7 months. As you know, with the crime stories, he's been putting on constantly. But I chose purposely not to do it just because of the sensitivity of the case. The name Luke Mitchell came up a fair amount of times yesterday. You'll see in our previous post. And I thought last night, I'll have a wee look and see. At first I was thinking, oh, it's not something that I'd want to be involved in. But now that I've looked right in at the case, I'm going to give my opinion. I'm going to give you what I get as well. We're going to go through the full case. I'll not give too much away just now. Thanks for joining on YouTube. It's Christy's Readings. But I will give my opinion on it as well. I ask you all to be very, very respectful within the comments. Just in case family are on from both parties within this case and the situation. As I said already, it is a very sensitive situation. I ask you not to name anyone or put any names within the comments as well. Or any sort of speculation or allegation that could hurt someone or make someone feel upset. Because we've got to remember there's a full family involved as well as another family. You've watched the James English podcast. So again, I was going to say it is, but I was going to wait to the end of this live and tell you. So again, YouTube, there is a podcast, James English, with Sandra Lean and also Luke Mitchell's mum, and they're both very, very interesting podcasts. They're worth a look. Most of my findings are based around that. They're also based around some other things within online as well, but it is all public domain. Danielle, I don't know how you can't comment on Facebook. I don't know what it is. Right. Let's see. Just catching up with your comments, guys. Thanks, Eddie, for joining. YouTube, thank you for joining as well. We do know Nicola. She loved chatting to you and she was very happy. Oh, brilliant, Heather. Oh, she was lovely. She was so nice, your sister. You got me in the big screen. Right, okay, brilliant. So I'm just going to get started with this. Again, I will do my best to put this case across exactly in the facts that I've been doing my homework on from last night. I will keep my opinions till the end. I ask everyone else to kind of do the same as well and keep an open mind from start to finish. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Remember and give the video a share if you would like to. Remember and give us a wee follow because you do get a notification when we go live. The police investigation gives you the fear. 100%. Right, let's get started. So on the 30th of June 2003, Jodie and Luke had agreed to meet. All right, Jodie Jones was a 14-year-old girl from Dalkeith, and so was Luke Mitchell, was a 14-year-old boy. It's speculated they were together between 3 and 5 months. All right, some of the videos tell us 3 months. Some people are saying 5 months. So I think we'll go between 3 and 5. Now, please remember, with this case as well, this is all public domain. This is everything I've found on the internet. So it won't be anything pretty much if you've looked at the case that you don't already know, but I will give my opinion at the end. On the 30th of June, Jodie left her house just about 5 p.m. To meet Luke. between 5:30 and 6 p.m. at the end of Luke's street, all right? When Luke got there that day, she hadn't turned up, all right? He waited and then he went back to the house and told his mum that if she appeared, now what we've got to bear in mind to all our wee younger viewers is 18 years ago, it wasn't the way it is now where we would just drop a text or a quick phone call and things like that. It was nothing like that at all right? So please bear all that in mind to why some of the circumstances would be different to how they are now. He had told his mum that if Jodie appeared, could she let them know, could Luke's mum let them know, Jodie know that he was in the Abbey alongside some other friends. Now, it then transpired, obviously Luke's mum didn't know at the time, but they were having a wee cheeky funny fag, and they were having a wee smoke and things like that as well. So they were all over at the Abbey that evening. Now, 6 hours later, Jodie's body was found. Now, what had actually happened was Luke had came back from the Abbey a little bit earlier. He then received a text message from Jodie's mum, basically saying, Jodie, you're grounded, you're past your time limit, you need to be home. Like, I have daughters, I've got a 14-year-old daughter just now, I've got a 17-year-old daughter. Again, I'm sure we all send the same text message out 1 minute past the time that they should be home. Luke let Jodie's mum know straight away that Jodie hadn't been with him, he hadn't seen her. So straight away it was agreed that Luke would go to Jodie's mum's house with his dog Mia. Reluctant on Luke's mum's part, didn't want her boy going out at that time of night. But again, due to the circumstances and the fact that Jodie and Luke were having a relationship, she said that he could go, but he had to take Mia the dog. Now, just to highlight just now, all right, Mia was an Alsatian. Now, she was a tracker dog. All right, she was already a trained tracker dog now, so that was Luke Mitchell's dog. When Luke was heading towards the house, he then bumped into some of Jodie's family, her grandmother, her sister, and her sister's boyfriend, and they were already searching. So they decided to search over, basically on the pathway that Jodie was found. Now, Mia signalled to Luke that at the V of the wall, there was obviously something there. So Luke took the dog over as everyone else was following behind. When the dog got over, the dog raised its attention to the left-hand side. Luke went alongside the dog. He then, I think it was, I worked out maybe 30 metres along or 13 yards along, Jodie's body was there. He seen Jodie's body. The rest of the other search party were behind him. Her gran, which is heartbreaking, I'm sure, again, it's something we have to keep very sensitive as well. Her gran, the first thing she did was cradle Jodie's body. It was her granddaughter. We don't know how we would react in a situation like that. Luke had phoned the police. When the police came, and this is where it starts to get a little, I don't know, 18 years ago, we've got to take that into consideration. Luke was the youngest of that party. The rest were adults, or just about becoming adults. And from the word go, he was treated as a suspect. They were all taken to separate police stations, but when Jodie's body was found and the police came, they allowed the 3 other members of the search party to go and interact with other people, obviously to address their family, let them know what was going on. They weren't taken straight away. Their clothes weren't taken off them, apart from Luke. Luke's clothes were taken off him. His interview was recorded. Again, 14 years of age, he was interviewed without a lawyer or without an adult present. I've just seen something on God knows which one it is, but apparently the court did agree in one of his appeals. It was appalling how Luke had been treated by the police, but they also said in the court that Luke gave as good as he got. Before we go on, I just want to say he's a 14-year-old boy, 15-year-old boy at this point. Can anybody else put their hand up and say they've got a 15-year-old child right now? And would that be acceptable to have a child, whether there's another child dead or not, to have a child in a situation? Now, my daughter's 14. I'm sure if it could happen to any of these guys, the police come tomorrow, take her away, she's out your hands. He was treated like an adult from the word go. His name was plastered all over the papers. His photo was plastered everywhere. Everything was taken out of integrity alongside the fact that he was only 14. It was horrific on both sides. Obviously, he was treated as a suspect straight away. Here's the little bit that, again, we will get more into. A witness had came forward and said that she had seen Jodie walking and a man behind her, and she identified the man as having shabby hair, quite stocky, She also confirmed at that point that she was no relation to Jodie's family, no connection whatsoever to either sides, Luke Mitchell or Jodie Jones's family. 6 weeks later, it actually transpired that they showed the witness a Polaroid photo of Luke Mitchell. Now, she'd said in her original statement she'd never seen facially who the person was, so she wouldn't be able to identify it. But the minute they showed her a Polaroid photo of Luke, now bearing in mind Luke's thinner, she said it was Luke Mitchell. Now, straight away, if she couldn't see that face, how could she then say that was him? It then transpired that her brother-in-law had went to Jodie's family's house the next morning to let them know of this sighting, and for 4 days solid, he was going back and forth. He was always also present at this witness's statement. Both statements that she gave, this brother-in-law was present. All right. Now, what happened was Sandra Lean is a criminologist. She'd got in touch with Luke Mitchell's family, and in 2009, she obtained the case notes. So she's probably one of, as she said herself, she's one of the only people in Scotland that's seen the full case. She's seen absolutely everything. On the night in question that Jodie's body was found, all witnesses, the search party, all agreed that Mia the dog had reacted when Mia had seen the body. Now, bearing in mind she was a tracker dog, all those statements back Luke up, that was fine. Within 6 weeks and right up into 19 months to when the trial started, all those statements changed. They also then said that Mia didn't react. So why on the night did the dog react, but within a case of 19 months till it came to trial, all these slight changes in statements? Now, Mia was a tracker dog. She had been tested. What I don't get is, the time it got to court, the dog was barely mentioned. My question to Police Scotland: why are you using dogs for drugs then? Why are you using dogs to rescue people in mountains if they're not that good and they're not credible? So how can you be so hypocritical and say on one level that dog had no idea, the dog didn't react because people changed their statements? How many times, my question to you, was that statement changed? And why did these people change the statement? Did they change the statement because they were in shock at the time, which again can be totally the case? Or did they change the statement because someone came the next day and started feeding people's heads with shit and saying we've seen this and we've seen that, as well as that witness saying I've got nothing to do with this? They did come back from that witness and basically say it's her choice if she said she's seen Luke and Jodie together that day. I think that's an absolute cop-out, completely, in every single way. How can it be credible witnesses who have changed their statements so many times? I think we all know my feeling on this already, all right, and I'm going to try to hold it to the end, but I will say it. Luke Mitchell was tried by media and police. And if anyone can say different, all you need to do is type his name into Google, look at every police recording. Thanks, Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm going to say it, there's so many similarities with Reese's case, in the sense that the treatment of Police Scotland, and I think the sad part of this was somebody tracing a promotion in Police Scotland? Had somebody just decided, because for what I've seen, it was decided on that night pretty much that Luke was a suspect, because when all the other search parties were interviewed, all them were not classed as suspect. His was recorded, his clothes was taken. Here's the bit, all right, they can't decide exactly what time Jodie Jones was murdered at. Now, it's only if it was at 5:15, it could have been Luke Mitchell, because Luke Mitchell allegedly says he was at home, his mum was at work, which was then backed up with witnesses. So Karine was at work, people said she was definitely at work, his brother was definitely at work, but there's phone records of the landline being used in Luke Mitchell's home to phone his mum's work and ask her what she wants for dinner. His brother then called to say, hey mate, I'm going to be late home. All these phone call records are there. Why were they not used? Why were they wrong when the other two people were placed in the place they should have been when there were only 3 people in that household? Again, so I'm asking all the questions, guys, that you guys would be asking. I noticed that as well. Right, okay. Let's go. I'm just going to catch up. I'm so sorry, but I feel very strongly about this case as well. As I said, Stephanie's on. Stephanie Boner is Reese Boner's mum. Justice for Reese. Please check out the last video. It's tagged at the top of the page as well. it seems to be becoming a trend, and the sad reality of this case is there is 2 14-year-old children, one brutally murdered, in, again, speculation that one's life's been taken away from them because of a miscarriage of justice. There was no DNA evidence on Jodie's body to do with Luke, none whatsoever, none within the crime scene. The police never obtained any sort of DNA evidence with Luke Mitchell to Jodie Jones. I have to put it out there, and I'm just going to, but on her t-shirt, her brother-in-law's DNA was on it, but he was never classed as a suspect because he just said, well, this is the reason, or this was the excuse. So why was his excuse all right when it was just him saying it, but the phone records and all these other things didn't matter? There was also other DNA evidence where a used condom had been found about 30 yards from the body. Please, it might not be 30 yards, so it was close. I'll need to check. It's all written down. They never found the DNA from that condom for 3 years until the man was brought in for something else. Now, I don't know if this is out there, but I'm just going to put it out there. That person was known as a sex offender. He was a known sex offender. And his excuse was he went there to masturbate, so he didn't have to masturbate in his house because of his mum and brother. I'm glad to hear that sex offenders are becoming quite classy with this, really. And it took the police 3 years to trace this DNA. Now, I'm not saying that person to do with the condom was involved in it, but from the podcast, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen them yourself, at the timing that man was there, he had to step over Jodie to do what he had to do. He must have seen it. Was he the type of man that got off on dead bodies? That's what you've got to ask yourself. The next speculation is, which I do think turns the whole case up in its head, is that there was 2 boys seen on a moped within the area round about the time that Jodie was murdered. They even went out of eyeshot at the times that Jodie was murdered. The bike was left on the path, so it was left unattended, and the police asked for an appeal. Come on, guys, you need to come forward. 5 days it took them to come forward. Yep, it was Jodie Jones's cousin, and he had said his gran had told him not to come forward. And when he did come forward, and the other man came forward, their hair was shaved. When they were asked what they were doing, they don't know. They got away with in court saying, I don't know. Because, we'll get to it at the end. I'm biting my tongue, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm sure his mother burned items in the garden, right? So I'll just give you out on that as well. Speculation of the media, tried by media. She didn't burn any clothes in the garden, and the police took the burner away for forensics, and they found no clothes in her burner. Again, all media. They also said that Luke Mitchell was Marilyn Manson obsessed. He was that obsessed that he held a calendar that was in his bin that his stepmom had brought him, and a CD that he bought after Jodie's passing because there was a song on the CD that was Jodie's favourite. Now, bearing in mind, guys, he's been classed as guilty in this case, but if he's not guilty, that's normal behaviour for someone that's lost their girlfriend. That is the first thing you would do. That's his obsession with Marilyn Manson, by the way. There isn't anything else. That is all they found in Marilyn Manson to do with Luke Mitchell. But they basically pinned on it was all to do with that sadist and the black things and all these different things. That's all he had in Marilyn Manson. That was it. Nothing else. It makes you think, doesn't it? Because it's like the lady saying about the burner. Up until yesterday afternoon, I didn't know what I thought in this case, but I just presumed we're reading all the media, all the police reports, that this man is a horrible man. He's evil and he's killed his girlfriend. Did he though? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Did he? Because my question is, how the hell did they 2 boys get away in court? We're not really giving an answer or not saying where they are. I'll just, do you know what? It is what it is. The case is as sensitive as it is, but it's 18 years down the line and you've got to look at it in both parts here, whether we are, again, fighting for justice for Luke or we're fighting for justice for Jodie. But one of the biggest things, and I will give you this right now, psychically I get, there's been a killer roaming about for 16 years, might not have killed again. Makes you think. There was no, I'm going to get through the post-mortem, so I would ask anybody that maybe, again, I don't want to upset anybody, but I want to get the facts out there properly because I want to be doing right by this case as well. Right, where is the autopsy? Pathology. I've highlighted so many things, guys. I've been at this case for yesterday afternoon. Right, so she'd been beaten, strangled in a vicious knife attack. Her throat was cut between 15 and 20 times. Her clothing was taken off her and her body was mutilated after she passed. All right, this is the part that, again, I don't want to upset anybody. Guys, are you telling me if that type of murder or someone done that type of murder, there wouldn't be blood somewhere? Whether it's in their clothing, whether it's in their hair. The murder was brutal. She'd lost most of her blood the time she was found and before she was dead, and that came from the pathologist. Does that not make you think, when it was already reported that Luke's hair was greasy, he hadn't had a shower because he came back in to then go straight back out with the dog? It gets me so upset. Oh, so uptight. And I also think as well, if that was that type of killing and that was your girlfriend, and again, this is just looking at a murderer's point of view by doing these cases, I just think there'd be a stronger link with sexual abuse and sexual activity within that murder. Whether I look at that and think that's someone who was trying something out that went too far. And again, I'll bite my tongue. Right, I'm going to take some of your questions and see what all you think. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you YouTube for joining as well. You're absolutely brilliant. I'm going to put this out as well. Luke's mum was physically attacked. She'd 40 caravans, torched in one night, ruined her business, all caravans wrecked. Police done nothing. This is interesting. Graffiti was added outside the caravan park. She called the council to have it removed. A witness who worked in the Shell garage close by identified the vandal. Police Scotland did nothing. So you thought it was all right for even in that time when a young girl has just been murdered and that graffiti's to do with that case, you've done nothing about it. What is your answer to that? And this is all on James English's podcast, guys. It's not as if, as I said, I speak to a lot of the victims' families. Stephanie, you're on. But in this case, I decided against it. I was going to contact Luke's mum, but I had a look at the case for both sides and decided it's a high-profile case. The documentary's out tomorrow night and Thursday night. But looking at this, she got a brick through her rear window. Police were like, this is the thing. She got a brick through her car rear window, and the police were going to do her for calling 999. Like that, whether her son had murdered that girl, that lady done nothing wrong. Her fire pit was clear. There was no evidence. Another one was the police came and took all his clothes, everything that he owned, which again, it'll be within the case, quite rightly so. That's what they've got to do. She then decided, the mum, to go out and get Luke some more clothes. It was July. He asked for a Parker jacket. She didn't see the point, but she bought him it because it was on the sale. So when she bought the Parker jacket after Jodie's murder, a witness came forward and said they seen Luke in the Parker jacket leading up to the murder. What does that tell you? People are watching newspapers. A 14-year-old boy's face was put all over newspaper. He was interrogated by police. I don't understand why this case wouldn't be looked at again for the sheer fact of the age of the boy. And the biggest cherry in the cake, and do you know, just give it. Luke Mitchell has already said he will not leave prison until he is free, a free man and claimed innocent. He is due for parole in 2025. And if he doesn't admit that murder, he could be in prison for life. But he will stick to his guns, his mum said, because he's innocent. I think that as well is, again, a big, strong reminder that he's only got 2 years to go. If you done it, would you not be better saying to get out? But he's not. He's claiming his innocence. What we've got to remember in this as well, there's a 14-year-old boy that got taken away from his family, a 14-year-old girl that was brutally murdered. I'm going to let you put your comments on first, and then I'm going to give you my conclusion. I hope I've not missed anything. I'm just going to jump through it. Right, so the two boys in the moped were seen causing a nuisance in the bike they got into. Now, there is no murder weapon. It's speculated. Again, nobody knows, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I think it is in a minute. Now, bearing in mind those two boys who were connected to Jodie Jones never came forward for 5 days. 5 days, I don't get that. Like, you want to help, you in a situation like that, it's down to a wee girl that's been murdered. Right, Donald Finlay represented Luke Mitchell, and Finlay asked him in court, Finlay asked one of the boys in court, why did you cut your hair? And he didn't have an answer. He just didn't have an answer. What I did get from Luke's mum is, like, Finlay probably wasn't any better. So when Luke wanted to take the stand, and Luke's mum wanted him to take the stand, and Donald Finlay, in her words, slammed his fist down on the desk and said, basically, you're doing it my way or the highway. Donald Finlay, really? Makes you think, doesn't it? When they said they had no emotion when the verdict was given, anybody who's within the legal system will know they are told beforehand, show no emotion whatsoever. It is very serious. So again, he was portrayed in the media when the media already knew that he wouldn't be allowed to show emotion. The media then portrayed it out that he had no emotion. But it was okay for Jodie Jones's family to stand up and say, hang the bastard. That's exactly what was said in court when the verdict was read out. It was also reported in the media about Luke sleeping in bed with his mum. No, I'm going to say, see if your 14-year-old wants to come into bed and watch TV with you and fall asleep. I'm sorry, as a mum, male or female, son or daughter, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I don't even see why they had to justify it in the first place. But she did justify it and say, no, Luke was on heavy medication after all this happened and she didn't want him up the stairs, so they both slept in separate couches. It's absolutely sickening, absolutely sickening. The whole situation, the sad bit is, in my eyes, there's a killer still running about. Just want to make sure. So Jodie's gran was asked to provide the clothing that she had been wearing that night because she'd obviously touched the body, so they were hoping that the fibres had went onto her gran's clothing. The lady couldn't remember what she wore, so she couldn't provide it. It also said in the case that there was house searches and things like that. Loads of people came forward to Sandra Lean and Kareen to say that their houses were never checked. People were given statements, people were given information about other people. There has also been a confession, but I don't want to get too much into that because it's a lot around the documentary tomorrow night, so I'm quite curious myself. But I've got my bets on who I think the confession is, but I do feel it's going to keep being retracted. The fact that there's a confession there and nothing happened with that, what does that tell you? And the media put out his photo and his name before even any evidence was gathered. So they'd already found him guilty before they knew. Right, I'm going to answer your question. I was going to have a wee drink. Are we all right with this? Is everybody happy? I hope. Donald Finlay's an arse, gave an unproven case of an older boy, my daughter's friend. You are joking? I didn't get a good feel around that either. Sorry, YouTubers are seeing me slugging my juice. Poor Jodie's family, but also Luke's family, 100%. If you think he's guilty, watch James English and watch the documentary. You'll see it all for yourself. The eyes and the truth. I do know a few people on this video that have had dealings with Luke Mitchell as well, and that has sent me a message just to give me their point on it and him as a person and things like that. He never stood a chance. Right, okay, so I'm just going to give you my conclusion on it now. I don't think I'm the first person to say this, but I'm going to highlight it very strongly, and from this point on I fully support it. I fully support that Luke Mitchell is innocent in a big, massive way. It's the first case I've ever done where I'm angry about it. I'm really angry about it. I'm angry that we're back in a place again with our national police force that we ask to protect us every single day. And within maybe 9 weeks, I have dealt with 3 different mothers and a sister that's never gained the right treatment. And they are the victims and the victims' families in this case. It's different with Luke Mitchell because obviously he's been proven as guilty. But on the other side of it as well, it makes you beg a lot of questions toward Police Scotland. I have full respect for them and your officers and everything on beat, but I will give my theory around this first. Somebody was definitely chasing a police promotion in Police Scotland when that case was taken off. I do genuinely believe that the police thought at the beginning that it was Luke Mitchell, but more so because circumstantial evidence, as in, well, that's her boyfriend, they're into the same thing. This is where the stereotypical thing comes in, alongside the fact, like, and I hope I don't get this wrong, so I don't want to offend anybody, like, but goths, moshers, things like that, we all think the dark side, and it's not the dark side. We just think that because we watch so many fucking films and let our minds be polluted. And in reality, these were two 14-year-old children, Luke included. And what I don't get is, I can understand those officers went to that scene, they seen that body, and it could have obviously been horrific. I do believe at the beginning the officers thought it was the case, but I do believe at the end they just didn't, again, ignored all other evidence because, well, they were running with it at this point. They were running with it, and I do psychically get the officers involved and the people involved in that. I would be very concerned about the documentary tomorrow night. I feel the documentary is going to leave us on a cliffhanger tomorrow night, where it's going to be a lot of question marks over Police Scotland going into Thursday morning, where we're all waiting on Thursday night, because I don't think Police Scotland are expecting what's coming out in this documentary, and I don't believe that the people that are hiding these secrets, I feel they think they're still safe for this documentary. What goes up must come down. I do believe that Jodie was killed by 3 people, 2 people in particular, and 1 watched. I do also believe that the murder weapon has been crushed. I see it myself. I keep seeing like a red tin or something. I'm just going to put it out here because, again, it's not my job to conclude the case, but if I can use my psychic ability to live in somebody's head that's responsible for this, of course I will. I get a connection with Motherwell train station, and I don't know why, but I'm going to do a wee bit more homework into it. But I also get connections with these people who want to have children. Karma, and I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it. You might have got away with it for 18 years because, well, you reap what you sow. Maybe it's going to happen to somebody in your family, or maybe it is part of your family. Point is, what goes up must come down. I do see 2 confessions and 1 denial. And the 1 denial is probably your biggest suspect. Be so much backlash after the documentary, and if that doesn't call for a retrial, nothing will. 100%. He's been denied 2 appeals. There is actually, from, again, it'll come up in the documentary, I don't want to give too much away because you'll know what I know, like seeing the podcast, but there's 5 other DNA samples. What I don't understand is, why was that DNA on her t-shirt? Why was that never questioned? Aye, they were basically bullied to say things. Well, I'm not going to predict this, Louise. You took my end bit away, Louise. I will predict in the next 2.5 years that Luke Mitchell's case will be the biggest, again, misjustice case, miscarriage of justice. And I feel that it's going to come down in history. But I do feel 3 people's get in and 1's get out. So if you're one of the 3 people, hope it raises awareness to get justice and the police should open the case again. I even think at the fact of the age of the boy, the case should have been opened again. And just the fact there is not 1 bit of DNA evidence. There's not a murder weapon other than the body. If the police put a statement out and said, this is why he got done for murder, this is what happened, then that would shut everybody up. Why have they not done it? Because they can't. They literally can't. Nicola Sturgeon, I need you again. I'm not happy about this. Please, please, it's not even a retrial, but even an independent report into this, which was never done either. I feel that he was tried by the media, and my heart goes out to Jodie Jones's family. It goes out to Luke Mitchell's mum as well. It's 18 years down the line, and that boy, either way, has served time in his life's been taken away if he didn't commit murder. If he did commit murder, then why not admit it at this point? Because he'll be out in 2 years. I'm not going to answer any questions like, do you think this person knows, or do you think that person knows? I'm not going to answer any of them. Shocking the way the High Court in Edinburgh treated him. Well, they did come back and say it was deplorable how the Midlothian police treated him. Like, they put their hands up to that. It's not enough. It'll be the biggest miscarriage of justice, 100%. Do you think the man who confessed was actually involved? I get he was there. And I think he's the one that can't live with it, but he's probably not the one that physically done it. Are you coming live after the documentary tomorrow night? Probably not, because, again, guys, I'm working on it. I finished work at 10:08 the night, and I've literally just put my makeup on, refresh makeup, fresh top, and straight onto this live. I done the case to 2:30 this morning. I wish they'd rattle Police Scotland. Rhys Johnny, Alan Bryan, and many more. They're a disgrace. But know what? They can't hide for social media, and all these cases are now being highlighted over and over again. And like, the thing is, I've seen somebody tag on Nicola Sturgeon in it. At the end of the day, everything's got to be done the right way. All we can do is highlight it. And as I said at the beginning, I wasn't going to do this case. I've got a 14-year-old daughter. But then I was thinking about it. I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and there's still a killer in the loose. That's the way I'm looking at it. And again, it's only my opinion. My psychic vibe is Luke Mitchell is innocent. But 3 people were involved. They grilled him so much when he was a young boy. But he never admitted it. That's the thing. Like, even all that interrogation, see all the officers that done that? Wait, it's your son or daughter, or something happens and it's taking out your control in your hands, because believe me, and I'm telling you this psychically, what goes up must come down. And 2 officers in particular that I keep psychically tuning into, one's feeling guilty, the other's quite ballsy around it. What if your son gets pulled in for something? Do you think the bigwigs are going to help? You'll find out soon enough. I didn't get why they gave Luke's identity away. Either did I, because I think they just wanted to pin it on him straight away. I think they thought it was going to be a clear-cut case. We'll get him in, done, that's it. Lie detectors. Right, okay, so Luke, in fact, you just reminded me that. Luke Mitchell and his mum both passed lie detectors, but they're not used as evidence. But they both passed them to say that she wasn't his accomplice, she hadn't burnt anything, he hadn't done it. So it's where you stand in a lie detector. That's why I've not mentioned it, but I think it's a massive turning point in the case. But I'm glad I've left it to the end purposely, so you can make your own choice up. Guys, you know on my page, I will always highlight things, and I'll always try and see both sides. But in this situation, my heart breaks for Jodie Jones and her family, but my heart breaks for Karine, because she's lost her son for all these years, and she'll know better than anybody that her son hasn't done it, because she's his alibi. So could you imagine that torture and trauma every day as well? I was somebody saying why are we doing it? Somebody I would been asked to do this case, but I was quite interested in doing it. I will always highlight things if I think there's an injustice and I think there's a change. And I know, listen, I know it's going to ruffle feathers at time. I'm not here to make you all happy, guys. I'm here to influence. Oh, is somebody having... Right, who's Jill? What's Jill saying? Let's get back to Jill, because I would rather address you, Jill, and see what you've said. Let me see. Let's start a hashtag. All right, okay, it's not that one. So Jill with a J. I've never seen the comment, guys. I'm looking back for it, but I'll look. Why are you interested now? Is it because it's bringing you more followers? Jill McGregor. Something annoying you, Jill McGregor? Let's see who you are. Oh, right, okay. Maybe you should just scroll on then. I'm glad your life's so perfect that you don't need to go and highlight anything. And if it happens to your nephew, or your son, or your niece, or your daughter, no sympathy for you, Jill. None whatsoever, hen. So the documentary is tomorrow night at 5 p.m, 9 p.m. on Channel 5. She was being cheeky, Christy. Bye, Jill. Bye-bye. Should change her name to Karen, hen. Suits you? Maybe she feels better. She's had a wee moan, though. And you don't need to follow me, Jill, because everybody else is following, so it's fine. And you're right. I had to put the case out the night before the documentary tomorrow, because if I don't put my predictions out, then I get done for copying as if, oh, she's just jumped in the documentary. Jill, the early bird catches the worm, Jill. You know, Still there, Jill? No, Jill looks like it's not me, Jill, I know. You're a Jill with a G. There's a Jill with a J. You're always going to get one. I bet she's feeling great now. Oh, wait a minute, we get wee trolling Insta, I know there. Murdered his endless ripples effects. My friend was murdered in Australia in October 1986 by serial killer David and Catherine Birney. Her mum hasn't been able to walk since the day her body was found. Her torture continues. I'm so sorry to hear that, Teresa. That was not in the press when it was fresh about the lie detector. I love this page. Thanks so much. When are you going to do the Noah Donahue case? He was 14 years. So I looked into Noah's case. The reason I'm not doing it yet is because it's very raw. It was 2020. Again, don't want to upset people, so you've got to be careful. Like people like Jill, who've got to do anything, just wants to get her thumbs worth in. Because you're talking about a murder, it will bring you more followers. Guys, you've asked me to do the case. If Jill knew we do crime stories. I love how you say how it is. No, do you know what gets me though? Like, get your own page if you're not happy with it. Do what I done a whole 5 years ago. The sick of listening to everybody else and thought I'm just going to start my own fucking page and say what I want. Jill, go and do that. We need to keep updated in this case. We certainly do. As I said, I was going to contact Luke Mitchell's mum just to say, listen, are you all right with this going ahead? And the reason I chose not to was because, again, didn't want to cause anybody anxiety. But on the other side of it, that's the public domain. We talk about everything at the best of times. So again, why wouldn't we bring this onto the page? I was speaking to my friends tonight about you, Christy. All nice things, obviously. Kirsty Gray was saying you're doing amazing with these boners. Okay, so I'm going to phone Stephanie Boner maybe Friday, and then I'll bring the video on for Reese, just an update. There might not be a big update. We know there has been a wee tiny update since the last live. Obviously, the police been at Stephanie's door. So I've gave Stephanie, she'll tell you, I've gave her a few weeks just to chill out. I know what Stephanie's like. I don't want to get her uptight and put her on to some sort of kind of merry-go-round way. So I'll catch up with Stephanie at the end of the week, and then we will do another review on the Reese Boner case. I tried to tell her this, but she was too busy. Loved your input on this case, Christy. What case are you covering next? What you like every time I finish a case, you're like, right, where are we going next? I think by doing this tonight, it'll be interesting to watch the documentary tomorrow night as well. Thank you for doing this case. There is so much that the defence didn't put forward in the first place. I believe there's still a killer out there, so do I. I don't believe they've killed again though, because I believe they were pretty young when they done it, but not as young as 14. She's lost a lot of friends over this. It's so sad. Thanks for highlighting this. I was too young to remember it. I love it. I do think there will be a justice, yes, I've said it. I think after the documentary, things might spike up for about 3 weeks, then it might go quiet, but I feel going into the end of October, something else is going to come out in it. Excited for the next case. Now I need to get it on catch up as I'm working. My daughter was born in 2003. You're doing fabulous, Christy, raising awareness for families out there who still have no answers. What's Becca saying? Have we got another troll? No, what I'm going to say, but see if you're trolling me, just make sure your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, because if I find out you're connected to anything that I'm already speculating on, I'll quite happily out you. You're just giving me more evidence. An investigator was also on James' English podcast and brought this up. Very interesting. There is a lot of criminologists and police officers and ex-police officers that agree they believe that Luke Mitchell is innocent. Going to watch James English. So again, I would highly recommend, guys, I'm always saying it to you through lockdown. I watched the Luke Mitchell podcast when it first came out, and then I rewatched it last night for obviously doing tonight. But I would highly recommend. It is Sandra Lean is the lady alongside Kareen, Luke's mum, that is helping her. She's interviewed by James English and also Luke's mum, and again, it gives you a kind of two wee sides to it. I did look for the Joneses' responses to things, but I could not find anything. My brother was around the same age at the time. I get, as I said, round the murder weapon, I'm just going to give what I get. I get a red jacket. I get a pair of either black trackies, but the ones that kind of draw in at the bottom. And I get that somebody's holding 2 children now, or sporting 2 children, that would have been involved in it. Callous, absolutely callous. Right, guys, I'm just going to ask you to pop on guilty or innocent at the bottom just to give us a wee idea. YouTube, thank you so much for watching. This is going to save. It'll be on my YouTube. I'm going to start doing this with the crime cases by putting them on my YouTube so that you can go back and watch them when you want, and it's without the comments. Somebody handed a knife into the police they found near the body was found. Do you think it's connected to the case? Probably not, because we've not heard anything about it. But again, you don't know what the procedure is. Would they look into it? I'm not sure. Innocent, innocent, innocent. I do believe they'll catch whoever it is done it. I think the police already have a fair idea. If it wasn't Luke Mitchell, who it was? Innocent. Right, YouTube user going for innocent as well. 110% innocent. Free Luke. Imagine if they're watching this. It is quite likely that they are. But also, again, from the Luke Mitchell point of view, I hope that either way there is justice in this case for all involved. We'll watch the documentary. Right, Adele, send me a wee message and I'll have a wee look in. I've had a few people message me saying that certain people have been murdered, but it was classed as like natural causes or death. Guys, see if it's not in the media and I've not got any access to any casework, I can't do the case. Channel 5 tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. These are all going for innocent. You've done amazing tonight, Christy. Thank you so much, Lisa. Oh, Lisa Allison. I read for you today. I was wanting Lisa, like, I've not got any makeup on, I need to get organised. So I was so up to high do today, purposely, because I didn't want to come on this live harassed. I wanted to come on and do it properly. Yeah, but the police need to admit they fucked up. I do see, again, internal investigations. Innocent trial by media, focusing on him being a ghost. So many assume target people because their looks. That's what I was about to say. Like, that is 100% the case as well, though. Being stereotypical, because I don't know about yours, right? But I'll be totally honest about it. When I was at school and people were goths, you're like, what the fuck? Like, well, what are you doing? Because I wasn't into that. That's all it was. And I was judgmental. I was 13, 14. And again, that's what we've got to remember. Was other people judging that wee girl and judging him because they made that choice to, again, just probably a phase. Thank you so much. You were great. I love my reading. You're amazing. Thanks so much. He's told his family statements have changed so many times. I honestly think a law should be brought in that they shouldn't be allowed to change the statement more than twice. Like, it does not make sense. So here's another thing, right? Luke's mum and brother were charged for perverting the course of justice. At the trial, their charges were dropped, but Luke was done for murder. But their charges were dropped because apparently, well, lawyers didn't lie then, but they said they were with Luke and they were getting done for, or on the phone and things to Luke, and didn't disregard anything, but they were getting done for perverting the course of justice. The charges were dropped at trial, but then he was done for murder. So surely the mum and the brother should have been then charged for perverting the course of justice. Yes, I do believe that, I will give that, I do believe Jodie Jones did know her killers in my book. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I hope you have all had a good Tuesday. You're very welcome, Louise Reid. I know you were dying for me to highlight this case. You've mentioned the name so many times to me. You've got a reading the Mora, right? That's great. Angela Patterson, I'll be looking out for you. I totally think people were judging her because of her style. Yep. You should be so proud of yourself. You're amazing. You have 2 lovely children and you're the 212 Christy crew. Thanks for tonight. Why do you think they killed her? Right, okay, so my belief is motive on being different, being a grunger in their book, and because she, again, it's, and what we've got to remember is young minds, child minds, they don't look at it the way we do. We would go out in a black t-shirt and black combats and be like, oh fuck it, it's fine. But with my daughter at 14, no. Wouldn't be seen dead with that, what my pals say. This is what we've got to think about, peer pressure. And I do believe that a group know about this as well. Pinky promise and all that. Was it a pinky promise though? Come on, is somebody going to break? Love these lies. And that's the bit that's frustrating for me being psychic. I really want to sit here and give out to the person that's responsible for this and live in their head and scare the shit out of them and telling them exactly what they're doing right now. And I won't, but I don't feel your life's great right now. Maybe relationships problems, things starting to change a wee bit. Aye. Maybe been caught doing something, worried they're going to get caught. Another female in roundabout. Just saying. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining. The numbers have been fabulous. Remember, and give us a wee follow. We always follow up in the cases. So the first case we'll be following up is Reese Boner next week, and then the week after that I'm going to go back to Sandy Davidson and Donna Davidson. Donna, I will send you a wee message if you're on, honey. I just remembered you messaged me the day. Send the poltergeist. Oh, they're sent. They get sent last night. I do genuinely believe the people in question already knew as soon as I put that post up what was coming. I'm sure I heard of medium psychics being used in police cases before. Does this happen? Am I dreaming? Yeah, it does happen. Happens a lot. They just don't speak about it. You're very welcome. Do you see any police being held accountable for the future? No, but I do see a change in the force getting into the next 3 years down to bad behaviours to do with, again, get OGs of the police back in the day. I asked me to tell you that we're doing it. Oh, no, the star shit. Oh, Heather, brilliant. The document, I don't know, what is the name of the documentary? It's Channel 5 tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Oh, thanks, Ka. Guys, please know this. Like, I don't want to upset or hurt anybody, but you know what I'm like when I get fire in my belly. And just like Reese, justice for Reese, I'm going to stand at this point and say that I do fully support the Luke Mitchell case, that he's innocent, and I will stand by that, and that will not change. I'm sorry if I upset anyone or you want to unfollow, completely understand it, but I believe enough in my work to know what I get, and all I can see right now is a 14-year-old boy that was bullied and a 14-year-old girl that was brutally murdered, and in the end the two of them became victims of the same crime, for the fact that the killer's still running about. And again, I think within the area, Elder Keith, I think you've all been speaking about it. I think everybody else in that area already has a fair idea of who it is as well. See if you know and you've heard something, do the right thing before this documentary goes live tomorrow night. Speak up. Speak now, because see if you don't speak after tomorrow night, it's coming to your door anyway. The humiliation's there. Do yourself a favour. If you are responsible or you're involved in any way or you're withholding any information, and always remember this, on that day, the 30th of June 2003, if you were in that area, this was a brutal murder. Somebody had blood, not just in their hands, it must have been all over them for the amount of blood that Jodie Jones lost. Cast your mind back, and if you know something and you're scared to speak up, because I spoke to someone from the area today who told me up until the podcast went out, a lot of people within that area believed he was guilty. Whether within that area now people are starting to change their minds, I'm glad to hear that if that is the case. Thank you, Adele. Killer in a small town, so that's what it's called. So I'm sure we'll all be tuning in tomorrow night. I just want to thank you all for joining. Again, James English, if you just type in James English with Sandra Lean, I could watch her for hours. I just think that she's got a lot of passion, and I think she's learnt a lot in this journey as well. As I said, she's one of the only people in Scotland that has actually read through all the case notes. She's seen the defence case as well. So she's got a really round picture of all this. So the documentary is 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope you all stay safe. Take care. Again, we come in peace within these crime cases and crime stories, but again, we're here to make an influence and make a noise if need be. Please, I ask you to share the video and watch at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Guys, I'll be live tomorrow for free readings. God knows what times, right? Because I've not even looked at it. I have looked at a diary. It's pretty busy, right? But we'll do what we can. If that Angela Patterson's quitting her reading, I'll go on for a bit. I'm kidding, Angela. But I will be on tomorrow. So remember and give me a wee follow because you'll get a notification every time we go live. I am going to pin this video now, Stephanie Boner. I hope you don't mind because we'll get Reese back up next week. But Reese has been at the top of the page for the last maybe 5-6 weeks. I'm going to put this video as the tag video at the top for the next 2 days, just as what Jill said, Jill with a J, just in case anybody wants to follow me, you know. I wonder if she followed before she left. See you tomorrow, Jill. Right, okay. Stay safe, take care. I'm going to end YouTube first. Right, okay. Bye, guys. Thank you for joining. Chrissy Jeans on Facebook and Instagram.